Good afternoon, all. We'll just begin the meeting within few minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to the webinar on environmental effect of COVID, organized by International Society of Environmental Relationship and Sustainability, and a scientific partner, BioLeagues Worldwide, and research partner, United Innovators. International Society of Environmental Relationship and Sustainability is one of the world's largest non-profitable organizations operating under Technorate Research and Development Association, meant for research and development in the field of environmental sustainability and climate change. ISERS is a paramount body which has brought technical revolution and sustainable development on environmental planning, research, and management. ISERS is a multidisciplinary association for professionals dedicated to the advancement of environmental professions, a forum for information on environmental planning, research, and management, and a network of professional contacts and exchange of information among colleagues in industry, government, academia, and private sector. ISERS aims to enhance the quality of environment, promote a greener economy, and improve people's livelihood. It will focus on social concerns of underprivileged groups and on the creation of greener economy to help realize its vision of sustainable development. Today, we are having two eminent speakers with us, Dr. Atri Ghosh from India and Mr. Janan Cheng from Philippines. Thank you all for joining with us today. So now I would like to welcome our speaker, Mr. Janet Cheng from Arlino University of School of Law, Philippines. Mr. Janet Cheng is currently working as a full-time project manager in a multinational company in the Philippines. He is also a part-time consultant in Chinese metaphysics like Feng Shui, Q Ming Du Jia, data selection and base. He is enrolled and presently taking up Juris Doctor at Arlino University School of Law, where his current subject is Natural Environmental Law and Public International Law. Mr. Cheng took up his BS in Computer Science at Emiliano Agudelo College and earned his master's degree at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining with us today. You can now start your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you, everyone, for the opportunity once more to be a part of this, this webinar. And it's truly an honor from across the globe to be meeting a prestigious audience like the audience that we have right now. So, despite of the technical difficulties that we encountered earlier, we are still here to continue the webinar. So without much ado, let me go ahead and proceed with my presentation about the effects of COVID-19 according to our theme. Okay, so I'm now sharing my screen. So let me know if you could see them. Okay, so right now, okay, so the title of my presentation or my topic is about the yin and yang effects of COVID-19 in the environment. Okay, so let me continue. Okay, so just a quick or short biography about myself, aside from the introduction given by Anita here. So basically, in addition to that, I'm actually as well a data protection officer, and concerning about data privacy, and a level 1 and level 2 certification or certified, together with the ITIL 4 framework. Okay, so along with that, I'm a certified practitioner or professional of Chinese metaphysics, applying it in different strategies or discipline of life, like say for example like a life coach, let's say profiling of employees in the organization, together with some forecasting and strategic execution, which has been so helpful, especially during the pandemic, for companies to forecast which sites will they be retaining, what would be the best strategy in order to cope or thrive within the challenges given by the pandemic. Okay, so yeah, so the yin and yang principle is a timeless principle given to every mankind, and in every scenario that has been presented, so the yin or the yin and the yang is always present, whether we like it or not. And this concept of the yin and the yang always remind us of one important aspect of in metaphysics or in the practical world, and that word is called balance. So the existence of the yin and yang is a matter of balance that give us the overview that we should attain. So let's go here directly to the topic. So for the yin side of the effect of the COVID-19, so as you can see in the presentation right now, we can see several death tolls that had happened. There were the spaces that were allocated or allotted in the hospitals were were pretty much consumed, and people were already lining up outside the hospital from their normal allocation. And of course, we can also see that several flights get canceled from all over the world, right? And most airports have shut down, and we can also see that the establishments were also closed, prevented people from the usual dine-in or the in restaurant process of eating, right? And because of that, it echoed in the environment for excessive and disheartening food wastage that happened. And of course, we can see that because of this pandemic, the rise of the online food deliveries across the globe also become so famous or familiar at this point, right? Like, because the dine-in is not allowed or permitted, then it gives rise to the online delivery. Okay, so now let's go to the let's discuss this or dissect this in detail. Okay, so the inside of the pandemic is and its effect in the environment is that, of course, number one, it's a very disheartening uh, to see that there are a lot of people who died during the pandemic, right? And as we know, human beings are part of the environment. So when we speak of the environment, in fact, the context of the environment is related to human rights, right? Like it is a human rights element that we deserve a sound ecological environment. So because human is part of the equation. And so it's very disheartening to see that during the COVID-19 pandemic, like starting 2020, right? So many people have died, and because of the effect of the uh, pandemic, so many countries also have started to embrace the concept of cremation, because not all countries, especially here from where I am, embrace the concept of cremation, because they still prefer the traditional burial. However, because of the pandemic, of course, it started to embrace that concept, right? So it's very disheartening or disturbing to see photos like this from across the globe, that they have experienced such kind of death tolls, right? Another yin or the negative side of this COVID pandemic in the environment is that, as a part of our protection, the mask covering or the face covering, as they call it in other countries, or simply the face mask, the disposable ones, since it has been required, then we can see them littered or scattering almost everywhere, right? And it turned to be a nightmare to find them like anywhere else, right? And of course, as part of the detection of or prevention, early prevention of the COVID-19, of course, the testing, especially the antigen test, as shown in the photo here, has also been encouraged to almost all the nationalities that across the globe, right? That it can gives you an instant result as quick as like 5 to 10 minutes or so, right? Aside from the RT or the reverse polymer technique, right? That has been prescribed by physicians, but the antigen test or the quick test can give us like scenarios like this. And of course, the impact of that from the environment, aside from the litter, is that the landfill workers from where these trashes were found are kind of exposed to all this kind of threat, especially of being infected by COVID-19 from being exposed to this kind of trashes. And another thing that, of course, that had happened was the imbalance, right? Because the imbalance in terms of the food security or food ecosystem, right? Because as what we can see here, it actually um, actually gives us a lot of wastage, right? So we can see that the foods coming especially from the mountains, right? Especially from us here in Asia, right? That most of the sources of these vegetables or the fruits comes from the provinces, far provinces. Then they get trapped, right? And because of that, the expected consumers of these foods turned into such a nightmare that they no longer can continue ordering these foods, and they resulted to wastage because nobody else consumed it, right? And that's another impact to the environment, although it may sound economic related because of the demand and supply related. But of course, food security is an equation or a component of the ecosystem, right? And the environment as well, practically because the thing that is involved there, the foods itself, belongs to the nature, right? The one that we harvest. Now, of course, aside from that, it also, the pandemic also gives us a yin effect or the yin side of, giving us the importance, right? Of what are really important or what are really matters. Suddenly, all those that matters, right? Pre-pandemic, all the things, maybe services that seem to be in demand, seems to be boasting like, oh, nobody can turn us down, or we are, nobody can, this system cannot be stopped, suddenly become insignificant, right? Like in the photos that we have here, these are group of transportation workers wherein they were asking for some help. And by the way, this was here in the Philippines, asking for some donations or support because they can no longer thrive because of the pandemic, practically because nobody is using the public transportation system at that time, and so therefore nobody's riding their transportation. And of course, to the fact that they weren't also allowed to travel at that time because of the lockdown. Okay, so now, of course, like what I have mentioned, the goal of the timeless principle of yin and yang is always existing. So we have gone through the yin side of the yin effect of COVID-19 to the environment, and now let's go to the yang effect or the beautiful side effect of the COVID-19. So you might be wondering, is it really? You might be kidding that there's a positive effect brought by the pandemic, right? Or the COVID-19. But yes, I'm serious that there was and there is a positive or yang effect of this COVID-19. So some of the photos here will tell us exactly. Yeah, you can see that nature is some of these in a glimpse. You can see here that nature start to heal from the abuse, right? From its use, from the abuse or from the usual routine. You can just imagine yourself going to work like 365 days in a year without any rest days at all, and suddenly you regain like a week or a month rest day, right? Isn't that so rewarding? So COVID-19 opened our eyes, right? That even nature needs rest, even the environment needs relaxation or day off or time off from the usual routine, right? And yeah, and right now very controversial. Of course, we have experienced this globally, that price of petroleum or petrols or gasoline, diesel is going up, right? Globally, but because of the pandemic, nobody else did except the pandemic. In all ages, the price of these goods went down, right? So, and of course, in terms of the airlines, we can see that refunds and flexible bookings has been offered like without any charges. You can do unlimited rebooking, which wasn't offered before the pandemic. So these are just the tip of the iceberg as I go on with them um, in details. Okay. All right. So this one is a photo from the Eiffel Tower in France, in Paris, showing that, like from the first photo here shows that the area from the usual touristic scene that people were visiting, and that there are a lot of course activities going on, and human beings normally carry them trashes. Okay, so as you can see from the photos below, right, as human beings go there, whether they dispose properly or improperly, trashes comes along with them because of the food that we intake, because of the drinks that we take, right, of course, and because of that, nature started to take a break from its usual routine, right? Isn't this also a good sign, right? And another yang or good effect of that is the traffic jam. I'm sure in India, I got a lot of friends in India who's also telling about the traffic jam, right? And also here with us, that's very rampant, the traffic jam. All the kinds of the rules, republic acts, and all those laws has been passed on the land to control the traffic jam. But it seems to be that COVID-19 has managed to do that. Isn't that great, right? I mean, looking on the brighter side of things, these jam has been managed by COVID, right? Nobody's passing the street. And suddenly, because of that, of course, the carbon emissions has been lessened because of the use of the petrol, right? That has been emitted in the environment. So the harsh effects that it gives towards the mother nature has been so eliminated, or if not eliminated, has been greatly minimized, right? And that is why a skyline, especially it has been published globally, a skyline that Manila used to have, right, from the photo above here, has suddenly appeared again, because before the pandemic, the same area looks like this one already, like as if a blurred photo or some sort of infection happened already in this area, right? That you couldn't see what lies beneath, right? But because of the pandemic, generally, this pandemic helped to reduce the noise, the water, and the air pollution around, right? Because of course, the sound from these factories that create the noise, the harmful air emitted from the carbon dioxide emitted by the factories, and lastly, of course, the water that has been infected by the waste products, right, have been eliminated or managed by this pandemic, right? So isn't that a yang or a positive effect to the environment? Okay, and of course, one important matter, like I mentioned, that everyone or human beings are part of the environment. So the self-love started to also been people started to realize their value. People started to celebrate quick wins. So prior to pandemic, people need to wait like sort of 10 years to achieve their dreams, 10 years to reach their goals, 10 years to reach their dream jobs, right? But because of this pandemic, realizing that life is too short, and that's also the main reason why attrition is going was high at that time. Many people are quitting their jobs, starting their own businesses, applying in their dream jobs. Is because they realize that life is short, and it's not an assurance, or it is not a promise that you can give to the future, right? Like in the X number of years, I'm gonna be applying for this dream job that I have, or I'm gonna be kicking off my own company, right? So that gave value to self love, understanding that the life here on this planet is too short, and because pandemic claimed so many lives globally. And of course, another aspect that this pandemic gave us is that people become so health conscious, right? We became curious that everything that we do, we sanitize. Suddenly, we become paranoid, right? Paranoia kick in, like, oh, I need to sanitize my hand. I need to wash my hands, right? And need to put some spray like this. Before, like before, when you farted, let's say you are inside an enclosed area, right? When you farted, people look at you. But because of the pandemic, now when you start to sneeze or to cough, people stares at you as if you are a criminal escaping out of the prison, right? So that's what this pandemic gave, right? When suddenly now, right, when we heard someone coughing, even though they are wearing face covering, or they are, or they are sneezing, right? We suddenly become so conscious that, hey, is this already the coronavirus hitting me, right? So it makes us more health conscious, and because of that, most people also resorted in healthy lifestyle living, right? Most people quitted their vices. They actually transitioned from their old um, not so good ways to a healthy lifestyle. Okay. One more thing, before the pandemic, we can see that people here meet in the office, right? No more space in the office. Most of you could relate to this, right? You're trying to book a room. Oh, come on. One week in advance, you need to book a meeting room so that you can all meet together, right? And you can talk to each other and discuss matters. Because of the pandemic, right? You can see here the Zoom meeting, and because of the pandemic, that's why you and I are here on the Zoom meeting, right? We are a product of this pandemic, right? A sort of technological innovation. It forces the technology to still put people together, because the essence of living in our environment is, of course, to build a good camaraderie or good relationship among our fellows, right? Not only locally, but even globally. So that's why these types of meeting from the traditional one has been converted into an online meeting. And guess what? Even team buildings or even games, right? Like the famous, bring me, let's say, bring me something long. All right. So participants would even go into their house, right, and try to grab this kind of things that were sought from them. So yeah. So okay, another young side of this pandemic is that people were compelled to become disciplined, right? As you can see in the photo here, people were just clamoring on sale, right? They don't care. They jam on the line like there's no tomorrow, right? But because of the pandemic, people started to queue up, people started to act human beings, so to speak, right? Because, in this unruly scenario, there were stampedes, there were, towards incident because of sale, like electronic gadget sale, something like that, right? But because of the pandemic, people started to queue up and act like human beings more than ever. Okay. The good side of it in the environment is that people learn to classify which are essential from non-essential, because for most part of the globe, other non-essential establishments were closed, right? Like these toy shops were closed. Previously, people were just queuing up to buy non-essential things like the wants. But because of the pandemic, people get paranoid. People were so worried to store up their foods for their consumption in order for them to survive and to thrive the pandemic, right? So that's why during the pandemic, you can see that people are queuing up for their security. They started to value which things are more important versus the non-important ones, right? So these are the things that this pandemic has given us. And another thing, like you can see the petrol, you can see the comparison, right? Like in just a matter of 2 years, 2020, the price is 43.33, and you can see now, right? So the diesel is showing at 92.30, and so on. So it all more than double the price, right? So it is something that COVID-19 can do, right? That hasn't been done by any kind of laws. And considering that at this time, that's when the some shortages of fuels, or even some crisis in the Middle East for the sources of oil kicks in. But on top of that, it still managed to keep up or to maintain a petrol price like this, right? Not really that low, but not as high as this one right now. Okay, so at this point, are there any questions from anyone? So that practically sums up the yin and the yang side effect of COVID-19 in the environment. So I would like to give more time for questions that you have from the audience right now.
If the participants are having any questions, they can raise now or they can post it in the chat box also.
Okay. If someone would like to ask a question.
Mr. Janet Chang, I guess we can move
You're
on.
good.
If there is any
Okay.
questions, participants will be posting in the chat box.
Sure. That's
Yeah.
that's no issues. Okay. So with that, just a last piece to give you as a key takeaway for everyone. So okay, I hope you can see the entire thing. So of course, as a metaphysics professional consultant, I would like to thank every one of you who has joined this presentation. And of course, as a part of the application of metaphysics is to, of course, anticipate or forecast whatever we have or in store for us in the future. So with that, I actually managed to prepare something for you. So if you can take a snapshot of this page, okay, sign up, and then that's for free. Definitely use this code, okay, and this code is valid until the 3rd of July. All right, so and you may be able to download your personalized destiny outlook for 2022. Okay, so still few months ahead of us, right? Like roughly 5 months that are still ahead. So you can use that as a guide, right? That like in consideration to whatever endeavor that you have, and you can use this code until the 3rd of July to download the report. So after you signed up, just make sure not to bypass the code, but rather use this code COVID-19, and again, that's valid until the 3rd of July. and you will be able to download your report. So if you got any questions, I flashed earlier my email address, or you can contact the organizer of this research or this webinar, so that you can raise your questions, whether this topic or about the destiny report or the destiny outlook. Okay, so with that, thank you so much, and thank you for your time, and I appreciate your presence. And if there are any questions, do let me know. Thank you, and have a pleasant afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Jananche. We will move on to our next presenter. Before that, we'll just take a group photo with everyone. I request everyone to switch on their cameras. I once again request everyone to switch on their cameras. Okay, we're just taking a picture in 3, 2, and 1. Thank you. Yeah, thank you all. Moving on to next presenter, I would like to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Atrey Ghosh, Assistant Professor and Researcher at Department of Microbiology, Sister Nivedita University, Calcutta. Dr. Atrey Ghosh was graduated from one of the esteemed institutions of Asia, Presidency College, Calcutta, with botany as a major subject. She was fortunate to be supervised by the supreme faculties of the time. She pursued her master's at University of Kalyani in molecular biology and biotechnology, with population genetics as a special paper. Her research interest started from biodegradation of inorganic pollutants, which she started at Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. Her research area was flourished under the guidance of multidisciplinary faculties from science and engineering stream at IIT Guwahati. She also worked with researchers at NEHU, Meghalaya, India, and enriched her research work with heavy metal removal from contaminated wastewater. At Sister Nivedita University, Dr. Atrey is teaching the industrial microbiology, microbial and eukaryote diversity, ecology, evolution, cell biology, recombinant DNA technology to the students of undergraduate and postgraduate of microbiology and biotechnology. Her research team here at SNU is dedicated in formulation of nano-based biofungicide and bactericide effective against biofilms, photoremediation and cyanobacterial removal of heavy metal and textile waste biobleaching of rare earth element. Nominated for Sakura Science Plan 2020 and participated in 11th International Symposium for Future Technology Creating Better Human Health and Society 21st to 22nd January 2020. Thank you, ma'am, for joining with us today. Dr. Atrey Ghosh?
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, thank you so much.
We missed that presentation. Thank you for joining.
Okay, Anita, it is a great pleasure to meet you all the students and faculties and everybody present over here from India and also from abroad. And I am Dr. Atrey Ghosh. I am talking from Kolkata Sister Nivedita University. And right now here the weather is not so good. That is why my network may fail sometimes. So please let me know whether my voice is audible or not. Okay. Acha. So I have prepared my slide according to the students' point of view. Means the students will be benefited. So let's see how I can help them in the topic COVID-19 and environment. So I am sharing my screen. If you cannot see, then please let me know. Can you see? Please, anyone, let me know.
Yes, ma'am, we can see the slides. We can see your screen.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Anita. Okay, so I'm making it full screen so that the visualization is okay. Yes. Is it full screen now?
Yes, it is visible in full screen mode, ma'am. Please begin.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, welcome to the talk that is effect of COVID-19 on environment, a global scenario, and atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. So I will start with the death toll in the COVID-19, which started in the early 2020 and in late 2019. So this picture or this diagram was made on the data based on 2020, August 28. And you can see that in many countries, the death toll was more than 1 million, and India was one of them. And apart from India, it was 1 million or above in North America and South America as well. And in other parts of world, like in Europe and then Russia and northern part of Canada and then southern part of South America, was in 1 lakh to 10 lakh death toll. So the devastation was very much, and in the year of 2020, the all countries went to lockdown, and as a result, there was a forced shutdown in the national and international aviation system, and then also industrial production and generation of xenobiotic substances was in a halt, and there was a drastic fall in the core business in global scale. So as a result, we could see the effect of COVID-19 in the various aspects like waste management, wildlife, global migration, then waste fires, air pollution, sustainability, air quality. And we will focus our discussion on water quality, air quality, sustainability, and wildlife, and also some points on waste management. So first of all, we will start with the positive impact of lockdown, and then we will move on to the negative impact. So in the positive impact, there was two aspects, that is improvement of air quality index and improvement of water quality index. So in the air quality, the aerosol optical density and the particulate matter got decreased, and also the emission of greenhouse gases, that is GHG, got decreased drastically. As a result, the improvement of AQI, that is air quality index, could be measured in all part of the world. And also in the water quality, the industrial emission of organic and inorganic pollutants got reduced. That is why uh, the COD, that is chemical oxygen demand, BOD, that is biological oxygen demand, and TDS, that is total dissolved solid, got decreased, and DO, that is dissolved oxygen, got increased. In the water bodies like ocean water, you can take, then river water, pond, or any water body, anything, lake or closed or flowing water. So as a result, the in all over the world, the water quality index got increased. So these pictures were taken from NASA, and here you can see in the left one, the in the 2020, the January, these pictures were taken from January 1 to 20. This is the index. The yellow color is the index of the tropospheric nitrogen dioxide density. Tropospheric nitrogen dioxide density is the measurement of air quality. So it is measured in the unit micromole per meter square, and you can see that it has gone up to 500 micromole per meter square in the January 1 to 20, but it has come down to at least 0 to 125 micromole per meter square in February 10 to 25. So within a 1 month of span in China and near Beijing and near Wuhan, where from the pandemic started, that area, the tropospheric nitrogen dioxide was decreased a lot. Same picture was caught in Europe. You can see that this measurement was also tropospheric nitrogen dioxide, and that is measured in terms of nitrogen dioxide tropospheric column, which is ranging from 20 to 160 as we go from white to dark brown. So in the March 2019, the picture shows that the tropospheric nitrogen dioxide was 160 micromole per meter square, almost 160 micromole per meter square in Paris and also in parts of Germany as well. But if you look at the right side picture, it was taken from 14 to 25th of March 2020 in Paris and in Germany, where it was around 160. It has come down to 20 to 30 micromole per meter square. So in both the pictures, the last slide and this slide also, you can see the improvement in water quality in terms of tropospheric nitrogen dioxide. So and in India, the same effect was also observed in terms of aerosol optical depth, that is AOD. So it was uh, ranging from 0.25 to 10 mg per liter. That is higher side, at the higher side in 2016, and it was maintaining its higher concentration, AOD concentration, up to 2019, and in drastically it was reduced in 2020, and in the middle of 2020 it was very less, that is lesser than 0.25. So in India, based on aerosol optical depth, also we can say that the air quality was improved a lot during that time, during the lockdown period. So here in India, also in some papers I have found that the PM 2.5, that is particulate matter 2.5, which means the particulate matters present in air that is of diameter 2.5 micrometer or less than that, that is the measurement. So it was at the higher side in March 2020, but it came down almost at a very low level in April 12th, 2020. So within a span of 1 month during the lockdown period, the PM 2.5 concentration was really reduced like anything. Okay, so here also the change in the air quality and the improvement in the air quality is visible. And in the same study, the parameters of PM 2.5 and PM PM10, that is particulate matter 10, then nitrogen dioxide and also sulfur dioxide was measured, and it was found that all the parameters like PM 2.5, PM10, then nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide got reduced in 2020 with respect to 2019. So we can say that in all the aspects like PM 2.5, then PM10, PM, nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide, if we accumulate all the parameters, the air quality index showed a maximum amount of improvement during the lockdown period, during the period of COVID-19 pandemic. Then we can move on to the water quality studies. So one study I have got that was done in the southern part of India, that was in the Vimbanad Lake, situated in Karnataka. So here the parameter was SPM, that is suspended particulate matter. It was calculated in mg per liter as well, and it can be shown that it got improved from 35 mg, nearly 35 mg per liter to almost 3 mg per liter. So it is a huge improvement in terms of solid suspended particulate matter. Yeah, that is SPM. So if the SPM is increased, or if the SPM is decreased, it means that the dissolved particulate matter got decreased, and also the DO will be improved, and BOD, COD, both parameters will be decreased. So that is the indication of improvement of total water quality. So similar studies were done in the river Ganga, river Jamuna, then river Kaveri in India, and same type of results were found of improvement of water quality. So those are the impacts in the biodiversity. So now we are moving on to the changes in the biodiversity. So what was the effect of COVID-19 in the biodiversity conservation? The overall impact was both positive and negative. And among the positive effect, the marine lives have become visible due to reduced SPM level that we have already discussed. Because of the lowering of the suspended particulate matter, the marine lives was visible at that point of time, and it was clearly shown that they were breeding without any fear, and their reproduction and their population growth was maximum at that time. So in this picture, the effect of biodiversity has clearly been shown. So at the center, you can see that human confinement was the main issue, which is rising forth the four type of issues, that is commuting, then supply chains, then food transport and recreational activities all got reduced during that time. So after these four effects, there are other side effects which got increased or decreased during this time. That is, first we can start from here: science, enforcement, policy, then noise pollution, habitat loss, exploration, then habitat use, then abundance, then survival. So during this time, due to the human confinement, the commuting got stopped totally. That has a positive effect on survival of the wildlife. And also this has a negative effect on science, progressing in science, then enforcement and the policy making. So due to the negative effect on science, enforcement and policy making, it has got the again negative side chain effect on survival of wildlife. And also this has got the food transport. When it is reduced, the food transport got reduced during the lockdown, which has a negative effect on habitat loss. The habitat loss got increased during this pandemic situation because the food transport was totally stopped. That is why people had to go for or had to find for other sources of food. That is why they were totally dependent on cultivation, and which causes more habitat loss. So more habitat loss means it was imparting negative effect on abundance, and also on noise pollution and exploration. So like that, this figure is a depiction of the effect of COVID-19 on biodiversity and wildlife conservation. Okay, so there are 15 points which are interconnected with each other. The dotted lines are the negative effects and the straight lines are the positive effects. So there were both positive and negative sides on biodiversity and wildlife conservation due to COVID-19. So now we are moving on to the negative part, the negative impact of COVID-19. So when we start talking about the negative impact, the first thing comes in our mind is the increase in the generation of medical waste. So there was a surge, a huge surge in the occupancy of hospitals that causes the increase in the generation of medical waste, and that in turn causes reduction in the waste recycling. Why it causes? Because of the shutdown of the industries involved in the recycling of solid waste. That is why there was a huge reduction in the waste recycling. And in turn, as an gross effect, the increase in level of water pollution happened in all over the world, which is the major concern. Even till now we are fighting with the problem. So that is why the SARS-CoV-2 in is under surveillance in the wastewater and sludges. And long ago, China has already planned for more wastewater treatment plants to strengthen their disinfection process. And they have imposed chlorination and ultraviolet light for eradicating SARS-CoV-2 present in wastewater. And also it has been found that the residual chlorine concentration, if it is uh, less than or equal to 0.5 mg per liter after at least 30 minutes of the contact time at pH less than 8, then it is good or safe. It is considered to be safe. So it is a challenge to bring down to 0.5 mg per liter. And then residual chlorine is a problem to how to eradicate the residual chlorine. Researches are going on, and also researches are underway in many countries to detect non-infective viral fragments of SARS-CoV-2 in wastewater and sludges. This is a very important point because in many countries, in Italy and in America, SARS-CoV-2 non-infective viral fragments have already been found in the wastewater system. So we will talk about that. So here is a diagram which shows the SARS-CoV-2 infection, how it is propagating in a township. So it is a picture of developed countries. So first we can start from here. It is a clock showing the infection probability. From brown to green means more to less. So that is the probability. So here in this picture, you can see that there are three kind of person which are shown in red, black, and green. So red ones are the infected person or affected person. Then black ones are the asymptomatic infected person, and the green ones are the exposed person. Okay, so here you can see that the infected person are using toilet along with the exposed person and the asymptomatic infected person. So all are getting mixed with each other, and the exposed person can have the chance of getting COVID-19 virus by using the only by using the toilets. So here are the residential areas and the hospitals where from the COVID-19 virus can contaminate the water this water supply system. So here you can see that the water supply system is getting infected, or it is getting contaminated by SARS-CoV-2 all the way through, because it is showing in brown. But wherever it is uh, storing, just it is storing the water from rainwater or from the rainwater harvesting, it is showing gray in color, so it means it is less infected. And here you can see at the rightmost side, the people, those who are bathing in the river, which are getting contaminated with the wastewater over here, they are much prone to the infection of COVID-19, because the river is getting contaminated with the contaminated water coming from the households. And apart from the treatment, although the treatment is going on properly, but then also there is some loopholes in the treatment. That is why the SARS-CoV-2 virus is getting survived and it is contaminating the river. That is why the people, those who are bathing in the river, they are getting the chance of infection. And over here, where the drinking water supply is taken from a fresh water supply, there the infection or the contamination is very much low. That is why it is shown in gray color. But whenever it is brown in color, it means it is highly infected. So that is the case in the Western countries or in the developed countries, where the water treatment or wastewater treatment is really in a proper manner. But if we look at the third world country, this is the scenario. So the scenario is worst in the third world countries. So this is the river where all the garbages, all the waste, solid waste and the liquid waste, whatever uh, are coming from the residential area, the hospitals and the township, they are just pouring the solid waste and the liquid waste as it is, without any treatment. So that is the point over here. And along with that, there is a open defecation by infected person. Black is an infected person, and then infected sewage is getting mixed with the river water. And then also infected PP kits are there, which is getting mixed with the river water. And also here is the transmission through infected flies and larvae or the insect itself, which is getting mixed with the water which is being used for the washing the vegetables and clothes and all. And the hygiene system or the sanitation system is really in question in uh, the third world country. So that is the difference between the water and wastewater system and the surveillance of SARS-CoV-2 in developed countries and in underdeveloped countries, developing countries. So Here is a case which was done in America, in Arizona. So here the circles are the influent water system, and then the boxes are the effluent uh, water system, and the triangles are the ultimate effluent, final effluent. And so here the data has been collected from January to February, then March, April, and May in 2020. And the red bar is showing the new cases in area A, and then the blue bar is showing in the new as the new cases in the area B. The red one with the blue dot is showing, that is this one, red one with the blue dot, that is this line. It is the cumulative cases in area A, and the reverse one, that is the blue line with the red dot, that is this one. It is the cumulative cases in the area B. So you can see that in January, February, and March, there was no cases of finding SARS-CoV-2 in wastewater in both area A and area B. WWTP is wastewater treatment plant A and wastewater treatment plant B. So B is B is shown in blue color, and area A has been shown in red color. And also the field circle means, or the field square, the field rectangles, it means the finding of SARS-CoV-2 in wastewater system. So you can see that in the early 2020, in January, in the month of January, February, and March, there was no finding of SARS-CoV-2 in the wastewater. But if you progress to March and April, there was rise in the fresh cases of SARS-CoV-2 and also the cumulative cases of fresh COVID-19 in city, and also in wastewater treatment also this SARS-CoV-2 was found. In April also and in May also, it was found in both wastewater treatment A and wastewater treatment B. So it was found in influents. That is why the circle is filled here. The blue circle is also filled, and so as the red circle. So it means that whenever the cumulative cases and the individual cases, fresh cases are rising, then there is a high chance of getting SARS-CoV-2 in the wastewater treatment as well. So we need to be more vigilant in whether we are sitting in developed countries or underdeveloped countries. And in underdeveloped countries or in developing countries, we need to be more vigilant regarding our sanitation system and hygiene system. This picture should not exist in any country. So there was another study which was taken in the which was done by taking the data from Asian countries as well as African countries. So they have taken 7 Asian countries like India, Indonesia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Afghanistan, and Nepal, and also 6 countries from Africa. And the red bar is showing the poor sanitation, the black bar is showing the poor hygiene, and the gray bar is showing the incidence ratio of COVID-19. So here you can see that in all the countries of Asia and as well as Africa, whenever the hygiene is poor, the incidence cases are also more. Okay, so here you can see in Bangladesh the highest level of incidence ratio was found, and here the poor sanitation is not that much poor, but the hygiene is really very poor. And also in India, the poor sanitation is not maybe the reason, but the poor hygiene is the reason. So that is the condition in Myanmar also. Here the poor sanitation is not even in the picture. It is almost at zero, but poor hygiene is very much at the level of percentage is at around 40, and the incidence ratio is around 20 to 30%. So the same picture we can see for African countries in Ethiopia, and but in South Africa it is showing that the poor sanitation is the reason of the incidence ratio, of the high incidence ratio, but not the poor hygiene. So we can conclude that from this study we can conclude that the reason behind the incidence ratio is maximally goes to poor hygiene but not poor sanitation. So in the developing countries or underdeveloped countries, we have to think about as well as poor hygiene, so as we have to think about poor sanitation as well, but we have to emphasize on poor hygiene. So we have to improve our hygiene system or our hygiene practice through awareness and through campaigns, through lectures, through workshops, through conferences. We have to improve our hygiene practices. And definitely we can blame our government on poor sanitation, but definitely from this study, we can say that poor sanitation is not that much of a reason as poor hygiene. So we have to remember that. So what are the learning that we have got from the environmental effect of COVID-19? That is, United Nations Environmental Protection has already predicted that there will be a rise in 3.2 degree in global temperature. So the decarbonization, which means the reduction in the carbon dioxide emission, which we have achieved during the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we really need to continue that. And the world should move towards the renewable energy to reduce the to increase the decarbonization and to decrease the carbonization. So whatever air quality, water quality we have achieved during this pandemic situation, we can retain to that if and only if in our daily life we use or we choose the renewable energy and we choose decarbonization. So every individual should move on their lifestyle towards more decarbonization and more renewable energy. So that is the point we have learned from the environmental effect of COVID-19. And my conclusion is that the forced lockdown of human lifestyle based on the consumption of fossil fuel have improved the global environment. Global means global and as well as local. So collectively we can say, we can coin a new word, that is global environment. And the next one is the long-term impacts of air quality, water quality, and global climate change due to the drastically reduced emission remains to be examined further. But that is dependent on the efforts of the researchers. But unfortunately, researches have been disrupted in many places, which has caused delay in the disclosure of actual scenario. So we have to emphasize more researches, we have to do more researches, the scientists have to do more researches on the actual impact of COVID-19 on environment. So this was a short and very little effort from my side to see the whole scenario which encompasses hydrosphere, biosphere, and atmosphere in terms of the COVID-19 impact. And with the help of my students, Orponath, Porna Devonik, Ratnadev Chaudhary, Devanita Mondal, we have published a paper which was published in the 2021 May-June issue, and the name of the paper was The Impact of COVID-19 on Atmosphere, Hydrosphere, and Biosphere, a Global Scenario. So thank you, and I welcome all questions. If you have any questions, then you can ask me.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very informative presentation. The participants are having any questions, they can raise now or they can ask in the chat box also.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, tell me.
Ma'am, I had one question that during the lockdown period, is that period enough for the speciation, for the production of new species, as we had drastic change in the environment? So was that possible during that period to produce new species? That little time span?
Yes, Shruti, your question is very nice, but I should say that this only the 3 months or 4 months time is a very short time for formation of a new species. That is a phenomenon of 1 million year maybe. Okay, so whatever I have shown in my slide, it is on the development of biodiversity, means all the species were breeding, they were reproducing fearlessly, and their growth, their population or their individual number got increased during that time. So only the population growth was increased in that time, but no speciation can happen within the span of 2 to 3 months. It is impossible. Am I clear, Shruti? Is it fine? Or
Yes,
you have
ma'am.
more doubts?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I have an additional question. Though that time was not enough for speciation, could it trigger it? Could it trigger the process of speciation, a new direction, a new tree of evolution? Could it trigger it? The time period we had during lockdown.
No, Shruti, because new speciation is a phenomenon of accumulation of many mutations. Okay, many advantageous mutations. Suddenly, it will have a like if you have gone through the punctuated equilibrium, it says that the theory of punctuated equilibrium, it says that the speciation is a phenomenon which happens suddenly, and that sudden event has got a base of millions of years. Okay, so many mutations will occur in a species to happen. If we are talking about speciation of viral species, then it can happen, because we have seen many mutants of the SARS-CoV-2 in during past 3 years. We have seen a lot more. Means Omicron is there, Delta is there. So we have seen a lot more variations in that, because the viral life cycle is very short compared to mammalian life cycle. If you are talking about mammalian speciation, then I would say that within this span, it cannot happen. But even it has happened, then it has a base of past 1 million year. Minimum 1 million year is required for speciation and accumulation of many mutations. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and also environmental effect, which is the topic of today's discussion. That is that only cannot trigger a speciation. Okay, there may be some other reason, like global warming. It can be a reason. Then uh, anything that is plate shift may be a reason. So there may be more than one reason. There may be hundreds of reasons for one speciation. Okay, not only one. Only the COVID-19 effect cannot give a new species all around. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Bhanu Pratap Singh have raised a question in the chat box. I am reading out the question. All around the world and in India, wastewater irrigation is the common practice. My question is that how to mitigate the microbial contamination and diseases? Yes, sir. Actually, this is a problem. The eradication of the pathogens, whether it is a bacterial pathogen or a viral pathogen from wastewater, is a problem. That is why in India and as well as in other countries, from municipality and from the government, we have a standard. So that is known as the standard um, threshold limits of every pollutants. Like we have a threshold limit of BOD, we have a threshold limit of COD. Suppose from industry or from irrigation, some wastewater are coming and it is being collected in the wastewater treatment plant. So after releasing into the nearby maybe ocean or maybe a river or maybe lake, it will be tested whether it is beyond the threshold level or it is lower compared to the threshold level. If it is at the threshold level or if it is lowered compared to the threshold level, then only the water will be released to the nearby water body. Otherwise, it is a legal offense. So any industry or any cultivation area or any municipality who is doing that is under legal surveillance. Okay. So for SARS-CoV-2, like I have shown in my slides, chlorine have shown to be effective. So bleaching powder is normally being used nowadays, uh, which was a common practice before also. So we have to increase the concentration and we have to be more vigilant whether the SARS-CoV-2 is still surviving in the wastewater or not. Uh, so like that, we can come up with more and more techniques to eradicate SARS-CoV-2. Even research papers I have seen on the effect of I will request Sumit Patil to mute himself. Sumit Patil, please mute him yourself. Okay, so there is a paper, there are many papers which says the uh, involvement of nanoparticles in eradication of viral infective particles from wastewater. So there are techniques which are coming up to eradicate wastewater, to eradicate bacterial and viral particles from wastewater system. So I think I have answered all your questions. Okay, thank you, Bhanu Pratap ji. Any more question?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your presentation today.
Okay, Anita. I will express my gratitude to Anita and Niveda.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the best. Okay,
Yeah, thank you. Sure, ma'am. Thank you for joining and thank you for the very informative session today. On behalf of International Society of Environmental Relationship and Sustainability, I would like to express my gratitude to all the speakers for their presence and contribution to making this webinar a more informative and interesting session. ISERS extends our sincere gratitude to our speakers and participants to take out their time from their busy schedule to grace this event. The certificates for the webinar details will be shared to all the participants via email within 24 to 48 hours. We will be sending you the certificate download link and instruction to the mail after mail. So after clicking the link, the new users have to sign up and the old ISERS members can directly sign into the account. So if you're a new user, sign up giving your details, and then the OTP will be received to your email. So using this, you can sign into the dashboard. So once you enter into the dashboard, in left side, there will be a menu option. In that you can find certificates and rewards. Under certificates and rewards, please find this webinar name and then you can download the webinar certificate for today's webinar. Everyone will be receiving an email with further steps and instruction within 24 to 48 hours. Thank you all for joining.